we received a renewal from our company as a 9.5% increase. Traditionally, as a county pays 70% and the employee pays 30%. Vision and dental rates remain the same. There are no increases. Back, Teresa. I should say that Teresa and I met with them a week or two ago about this. So shared that with the other two commissioners when we received that. The increase a month or so ago as they look at the rates, we're anticipating a 20% increase, which is what they traditionally say, they being the insurance companies. We're looking at 9.5% increase. Knowing some other organizations, we've also experienced those increases. So I would make a motion to approve the medical insurance expense, with the county picking up 70% of the full premium, the employee picking up 30%. There's no change to benefits, pending council approval.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Being none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Next, via Zoom, we have Pamela Frank dealing with network care. Nathan, you have one.
You folks should be good to go.
We are ready to go. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you all for giving us the opportunity to present to you. My name is Afshin Kasrandi. I have my colleague Pam Frank on the phone with us. I understand we have only 15 minutes. This presentation is normally about an hour, so I'm going to skip a lot of stuff we deal with initially and jump right into it. We've been around for about 25 years. We just started with 2 counties dealing with the issue of fragmentation of services at the local level. After about 18 months of meeting with various stakeholders and a discussion with the commissioners and the counties, we realized that the integration is not a possibility. Creating that one-stop shop was also not an option for various reasons. And the chairman asked us if there's anything we can do so the member of his community can find the services that are currently in place for them. It was the year 2000, and we thought perhaps if we cannot structurally integrate everything, we can virtually integrate all the information on behalf of the stakeholder. Soon after, the product was reviewed by President Bush's new Freedom Commission at the time and was recommended to the nation as a transformative tool. That kind of lives. We started getting inquiries from all these states, the Federal Agency for Mental Health, Behavioral Health. Excuse me. And all these darker states that you see is where we are active right now. Many of them, we have the statewide application. Over the years, we have developed products for every agency within the Health and Human Services. Every single one of this product was also developed in partnership with a state or local government. To view our sites, you simply come to networkofcare.org, look for the topic area or the agency, whether it's behavioral health or seniors and people with disabilities. Select the state, select the county, and you end up at the site. I have loaded a few sites here today to show you all of our sites are structured the same way. They're all Section 508 compliant for American with Disabilities Act. We support about 110 different languages. When we translate the site, we translate the entire site. I'm not going to do that again because we only have 15 minutes. This top challenge remains the same across almost all products, whether you look at the aging, children and family, mental health, public health, prisoner reentry, and the interface doesn't really vary that much. Most of what happened in the site happens over here. So we're in the behavioral health side, and it says, we give them examples. This is our AI navigator. You can type anything you want. You can say I'm struggling with addiction, or you can say I am a returning vet, need housing, and is struggling with addiction. And that you don't have to type everything right. We still understand what you're trying to search for. And now you have veteran treatment cards, housing counseling, veteran benefit assistance, substance use disorder, residential substance use disorder treatment facilities, and recovery. And you can simply say, well, what else would I need? And we'll continue to search for you until you actually have all the services that might assist you in your current situation. So you now have access to the shelter, to the crisis shelter, to supportive housing, to employment prep, financial assistance, substance use disorders. If you're looking at veteran treatment cards, these are 4 of them in the community. We know about a third of our visitors, 2/3 of our visitors are trying to help other people. They're either a loved one or a social worker or a case manager. And for that reason, you can email this resource if this is something that you think would be helpful to them. You can email it to them. You can text it to their cell phone. You can contact the agency directly with your question to make an appointment. You can save it for future use in your account, and you're then able to share that with the rest of the care team. And if you're in your office, you can print the detail of this agency and hand it to them so they have access to the information once they leave your office. If you want to learn more, you can click here and we'll give you some basic information. Our goal is not to have our visitors to spend as much time or as many page views as possible. Our goal is to give them what they need with as few clicks as possible so they could get to the information they need. However, if you need to look at the detail, we'll slide the results over. You can see a brief description, hours of operation, what region they're serving, other services you might be interested in, and also you can rate the agency if you wish to. All the pages on the site could be saved, could be shared, and if you see something is wrong, you can send it to us and we will then try to reach you. We also have geo-mapping solution, so you can see where these 4 agencies are and choose perhaps the close one to where you live. You can continue asking for additional questions in a large language model that we use. So you can type basically anything and we will have a response for you. Some people like to search by category. These categories are, we build them in partnership with our client. They're different across all of our sites. Everybody calls them different things. But underneath them, they're connected to INPRS taxonomy, which is a national standard for health and human social services agencies in the country. So this database that we have, every agency is reviewed manually. Somebody actually looked at them. They're taxonomized using the INPRS taxonomy. And the way we manage it is that once a year, we take a statistically correct sample size of the data. If we are better than 95% accurate, we continue with our monthly update, which is we email all or portion of the database every month saying, here's the information we have from you. If it's correct, you don't have to do anything. If not, click here to update. We verify, validate, and update all inquiries, either from the emails or from the website itself, within 48 business hours. Client can publish whatever they want. They want to have the important phone numbers highlighted or Nebraska Behavioral Health Plan, and they didn't in this case want many of the other items we have on our menu. So if you look at Texas resources, for example, this is how they want to display their categories. This site belongs to our client, so they can publish anything they want. They have unlimited publishing with us, and in this case, they have guided search for those who are at risk. This is our homelessness site, by the way. Those who are at risk of homelessness, those who are homeless, those who are long-term chronic homeless, basically. They have a nationwide news published. Practitioner database is every physician that has a license to do business in your community. They have all these specialties. We can work with the client to pick and choose which one they want to include here. They can also include all of them. This is a homelessness site. Every site has some specific content for that target population. This is clothing and hygiene. When we did the research, we find out that socks and underwear is the #1 need across this population, so we have that information for them here. Clinical trial. Amongst the 300 plus local jurisdictions around the country, ask us to build something or to create or publish something. If it applies to the rest of the network, they all get it. So some 20 years ago, we were asked to build a mini network of care for depression. Here, our goal is to educate the public about what is depression, but also bring all the services and resources in the community that might be useful to them. And you get the facts, and we highlight all different kinds of depression, how you make a good decision, how you take action, what are the symptoms, personal stories, how you can track and plan your progress with your condition. Series of interactive tools. We don't really diagnose anything, but we try to educate them through some sort of an online interview process. All the medical tests, we have every single medication that deals with this condition. This is a licensed content from HealthWise. They've been around since the 60s. They're a not-for-profit entity. They're one of the most respected in the country. We are the only public outlet for them. We really like this content because it's organized in the way a family or an individual is faced with this one issue. But more importantly, it's written to an 8th grade educational level. You get the basic information about depression, what causes it, what are the symptoms, what are the preventions, when should you call a doctor, counseling, all the medicines approved by FDA is in our database, how you give support, who wrote it, and when it was last updated. This section gets republished every 3 months. There is no article older than 2 years. We monitor and manage all the activities across all our sites, including here. If the drug is pulled from the market, that drug would be updated in our system within 48 hours. Legislate is every single bill currently at the state and federal level dealing with the issues of concern to this particular target population. By the way, this site belongs to you, so if there is anything that I'm showing you that you may not be interested in or you don't want to include, we can simply turn that off and it will not show up on your site. Community resources, we manage about 20,000 links nationwide. These are not direct service providers, but information that people might be interested in, 211 Texas, aid to victims of domestic abuse, apartments fined for felons, things like that. And however, we also have nationwide news we publish every morning at 8 a.m. relative to a specific target population. Clothing and hygiene assistance, you saw this on the homepage. Opioid resources for opioid crisis, suicide prevention, disaster, mental health, clinical trials. Every single clinical trial currently active in the United States. I show you an example of what we do. So this entire site, our goal is to educate and inform, provide you access to the treatment. So when you go to the service providers, you're an educated consumer, and also provide you access with support and reintegration when that is the case. So when we look at the opioid crisis, and that's true across the site, we will see that. We want to educate you about treatments and options that are available to you. Payment and various ways you can pay for these services. All the services in the community that could be helpful to you. So if you're looking at inpatient or outpatient, comprehensive outpatient substance abuse, there are 2 in your areas, and you just all saw this already. But we know if you're struggling with opioid crisis, you might have need of housing or financial assistance or transportation, so we highlight this here. We also give you access to national resources you can reach out to in the event of crisis or otherwise. Local resources that could be applicable to you, drug disposal sites for your maybe surplus medication after you left the hospital, needle exchanges, harm reduction. This is only when these resources are available. Naloxone carrying pharmacies, buprenorphine practitioners. And then we educate inform and connect you with the various support. These resources are also the same for disaster and mental health. We just brought this to the forefront of our sites across the state of Texas because of the recent flooding, for example. We respond the same day, normally within an hour or two, in the case of a disaster for our clients. Healthcare is every single state and federally funded program, HRSA supported health centers. This is a mental health homelessness site, so we have information about insurance and what is parity at. There is a secure HIPAA compliant environment here that has everything you've saved or personalized from throughout the site. Personal health record, messages so you can give access to your site, to your folder here, to your account. And you can have private messaging with them, secure private messaging with them. Or share pieces or all of your folder, your account with them. So if I'm taking care of my son, I can give my wife an access to the whole thing. So we can both know all the services that we have bookmarked or saved, all the articles, all the support groups and everything else. Let's switch to a different client. This is Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. As you can see, it's structured pretty much the same way. They have a care guide, which is another tool that we have that is designed to reduce recidivism rate to institutional care. One thing that we have across all of our sites is that since we were never able to create that one-stop shop or no wrong door, this is our attempt to provide access wherever the individual is to these resources and services. So make every door a right door. If they copy and paste, if anyone in your community copy and paste this one line of code on their site, this button will show up. And when they click on it, they can actually search the database from whomever sites they're at. So this is a way for us to make this mobile, make it accessible, so you can put one on your county side, one on the NAMI side, one on your child care center website, and it could be available no matter where they come in contact with the system.
Excuse me, sir. I appreciate it. This is some very good information. A couple of quick questions for you. One, are there any counties or government units in Indiana that use this service?
At the moment, no. But the state of Indiana contracted with us, I want to say 15 years ago, and paid for the development of the site statewide. And then the administration changed, and they chose not to continue, and they just made the investment and never capitalized on it. But
Okay.
at the moment, we don't have any active site in Indiana. Is that correct, ma'am?
It is indeed at this moment.
All right, thank you. And then you talked about messaging with this. Can an individual use voice to obtain this information?
I'm sorry, would you mind repeating the question?
Yes, I'm searching your site. Can it be done by voice as opposed to internet search or a private message?
It can't be done by voice, not at the moment, but it's in our development pack for this year. So I think when you come to your cell phone version, which probably looks something like this, there would be a mic here in the
Okay.
last quarter of this year.
All right, thank you.
And that needs to be added because of the whole AI integration. We're adding a lot of things. So there would be a series of assessments, for example, social determinants of health, comprehensive assessment. People could complete that, and based on the responses, we can actually recommend services and resources in your community.
All right, well, thank you.
That's one of them.
Thank you for presenting. We'll continue to do some more research. And I believe you're also presenting to our county council as well, from my understanding. Next Monday. All right.
You have our contact information. If you all are like me, you're gonna hang up the phone and think of other questions. So please feel free to email those to us. We'll be happy to respond. And if you need any additional information, just send us an email and we're happy to provide.
Thank you. Have a good evening. We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you for hosting us.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is a follow-up on the vacant roadway. I think we've, Tom, Jerry, or Frank here? All right. I think we've all been out to the site various times and such. I know Jenny went out there today. Jenny, you want to follow up on your?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go out and meet with Tom and Jerry a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago probably. And then Mark reached out this morning, which was good because my last week was chaotic. So I was able to go out and meet with Mark to get to understand what his concerns were. And I am pleased to say that all of you were very willing to find a compromise in all of this. And we are happy to, I think, accommodate the compromise. What was discussed was the possibility of closing the road from that would be Merle Avenue, correct? I think I've got the right name. So it would be closing that road from 300 South, where Merle Avenue begins, the north end of that, down to the southern edge of what would be lots 23 and 36, which would be the northeast corner of, let me get this right, Mark Ingram's property, and the southern edge of, I don't remember if Mr. Tuley, that's yours or not, but then leaving open, so we would close it from 300 down to those two lots, the north side of those two lots, close it there and leave it open south of there where Ray Road, is that what it's called? Where Ray Road tees in east to west, so that the properties of Mark Ingram could be accessed if you turned either to the right to access his property or to the left to access his property. What I would like to see, if this is still, if you guys are all good with that, I would like to see that road that section of the road that is vacated, I would like to see it kind of left open. And my only concern there is, if there ever was an emergency in that area, you're going to want to have the fastest access possible. And Tom Miller, I really appreciate when I spoke with you about quick access to those properties that are on the east side of Merle Avenue. Well, they'd be on the west side and east side, that an emergency vehicle could get through there. And Tom Miller said, if it's an emergency, you can drive diagonally across my entire property. I don't care. If it's an emergency, it's an emergency. So I think this is an example of community members working together to make sure the property rights of each one are disturbed as less as possible, which I really appreciate. And I think you guys are pretty much all in agreement. Would any of you like to come up, or are you guys in agreement with that?
I went out there with the sheriff.
Mhm.
We looked at that, so I think that is a very good compromise. We had discussed that earlier.
Mhm.
With those lots, being able to get to those lots were sold, someone else.
Now, the question was raised during these conversations, well, what happens to that public road? It's grass. I mean, if you went out and looked at it, you can talk about it, but until you go out and actually see what this looks like, you have a totally different, you'll come away with a totally different opinion of what this really is. But now it would be, and Jacob, you can help here with this. It will be a matter of how does the county go about vacating that section of road? And and I know Tom and Jerry have talked about this before, each of them somehow having access or to the 20 feet on each side of that road becoming their own properties. I don't know if that requires additional surveying or what that would mean. Mm-hmm.
Is that better?
Yes, much.
To your point, you were talking about the 20 feet on either side of the road. Who is it that would be maintaining or controlling that?
Well, currently the homeowners are. So I know Mr. Tuley and Mr. Miller are maintaining, and your name again, Mr. Frank Stone. They have been maintaining these this for years, which is what's kept the trees from growing up on this one particular section, because the rest of it is, a lot of it's just fully wooded at this point.
And
mature trees.
it may need to be, and I can look at it. I did this once before in Benton County, and my memory was, I think there was an ordinance passed essentially vacating a county road, and there's a statute that lays out, but that's essentially what the process would be. Like me to
I would, yes, if you could make that the next step.
Also, you had mentioned, gentlemen, that Mr. Murray was your attorney for this. And I believe that Mike, I believe in the past, I think the individual landowners, attorneys, up for the cost of that for you actually touch base, please, with Mr. Murray. Jacob looking, and I think it's a great compromise.
Do,
Do you mind, so people could hear, if you don't mind speaking, and thank you.
I would like to plant a row of pine trees behind row of pine trees. They're gonna be about 10 feet away, and if I own 20 feet of it, they won't extend past that. I just wanted to make sure, because we said nothing in that roadway. I just wanted to.
I understand. Yeah, you're good.
My only question is, pertains to the portion next to my house. If you please not do it in the rock, if you dig it in the grass, I'll mow the grass every day. I mean, it's just putting rocks, it's gonna be getting tried with my mower to hit everything. I just ask you to keep the grass.
We will not ask the county department to do anything differently.
Any other concerns from any of you involved in this? Okay. Can I get everybody okay? Yeah. Well, and it won't be, Jerry. It shouldn't be. Yeah, I think it's a great compromise too. So I will make a motion to close Merle Avenue from 300, the north end of 300 South, down to the south end of lots 23 and 36 in Whipple Crest subdivision. Go ahead.
I'm assuming you're going to say pending attorney write-ups, Jacobs.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Thank you, Don. No, I wasn't, but yeah, I appreciate that.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to close that road from 300 through Earl, and pending attorney write-up from individual's attorney as well as the county attorney. Any further discussion?
What lots did you say?
It would be to the north end of lot 23 and 36. 23 and 36. And if I'm wrong on that, you guys let me know, but that's what
Their attorney
Yeah.
ought to.
okay,
Pending-
okay,
Pending county attorney.
okay.
All right, thank you. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Nathan, you're up, buddy.
Good evening, everybody. First, courthouse updates. I'm going to start with change orders. I have for your formal approval 2 change orders for which I received a green light via email so that we could get the work moving. Change orders 79 and 80, both valued between $5,500 and $6,000 and totaling $11,359.62. Authorize the installation of lights in the bell room of the tower and the repair and replacement of the floor tile in the north side main floor vestibule, where, as I had explained, structural integrity had been lost and efforts to repair and replace broken pieces were causing problematic ripple effects. Neither is a substantial total as far as COs go generally, but because we operate on a percentage approval basis, neither I nor Commissioner Kniebel could sign off on these in the end, given where we are with the remaining contingency. I would just ask for formal vote in a public meeting to confirm what Commissioner Street and Kniebel gave me the authorization via email. So we've got that for the state board and any other.
Yeah, motion to approve those 2 change orders, 79 and 80.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Project finances, with the approval of those change orders and other recently incurred costs outside of change orders, so line items or work other than construction and design, our contingency balance is at $30,180.00. As of right now, comfortable with the remaining balances in our other allocations, which are primarily IT furniture at this point, along with movers. Town and Blank still has more than $250,000 available in their construction contingency. Of course, that's all cash we have that we just don't pay them if they don't have to add on to general conditions, additional work, et cetera. So we'll be able to dip into that as they cross off final expenditures on their end and get closer and closer to having them on site. So in total, we've got $280,000 to $300,000 cash total.
Thank you.
Progress. Our second punch list walkthrough took place on Tuesday. Went a bit more quickly than the first one did. Having gone through that, established Tuesday as the official day of substantial completion. Over the next several weeks, punch list corrections will be made along with the completion of a few odds and ends. At the end of July, construction trailer will be gone, fencing will be gone, and our superintendent will be shifting to having a part-time presence on the job site. We'll still be waiting on a few door slabs that were delayed and some door hardware. Furniture installation began in earnest this morning. Other than the meeting room table, should be largely complete within 2 weeks, if not sooner. Questions on progress? So, I mean, we're getting closer to the finish line. Once we see exactly how the furniture installation goes, and we're gonna have to do a second order, which I know we'll have to do because might have kind of missed one room entirely. It was all storage stuff. Nobody's gonna be without a desk or anything like that. But once we see how that's coming, and I see our antique furniture restoration guy later this week, probably get a little bit closer to being able to say when we'll be able to do like a ribbon cutting, start moving people in. Rowing has been doing a lot of ongoing IT work. They are waiting on the electrical subcontractors, second tier subcontractor for low voltage to do some things. And then obviously some of the IT work will happen as people are moving in, making sure the computers, printers, everything else are getting set back onto the network properly. So those are all factors that we have to consider, but we are getting closer and closer to that finish. Then we've hit the middle of the year, a couple of updates on stuff going on in the office that are more pertinent, some more pertinent to my actual job. I had conversations with 2 firms that received or otherwise discovered our request for qualifications for the comprehensive plan project, and they've reached out to learn more about it, got some background. Statements of qualification are due to my office at 3 o'clock a week from today, and we will then schedule interviews. Required Board of Commissioners public hearing for the grant application will be held at your first meeting. Pleases the commissioners, and she is okay with it, which she has confirmed via email today. I would like for Mrs. Kniebel to represent the board on our interview. Now, this is not a project steering committee. Until we have selected the firm, the grant's been awarded. I don't know if we'll have a formal steering committee. That'll kind of be whatever process they think is best. We may just have a handful of committees that are a mix of county personnel, key civic leadership stakeholders, and residents. This is merely a committee that will, interview all of the firms that submit statements, and we choose to interview and contribute to the decision-making process to see which firm we hire to do them.
How many firms have expressed interest?
So Herpsy sent request 5. I have heard from 2 or 3 others who saw it listed in one of the databases where it was listed, but did not receive it directly. So we're somewhere between 5 and 10. I don't know. The 2 with whom I've had extended conversations, I am certain will be submitting. There's a 3rd one I think will as well. The others, it's hard to say. But at the minimum, I think we'll have 3 to consider interviewing.
Thank you.
County website update. I have said this previously, but it is now a bit more accurate. We're almost ready to go live. Everything the developers have needed to do other than turning it on is done. They have agreed to set up a meeting with me later this month to go over some of the new features on the back end to help me make sure I understand it better before we go live. But really the only substantial holdup, and I have finally started carving some time out, is especially in light of the new live streaming rules that went into effect last week and the rules that go along with that about making sure that you have a direct access to your agendas, minutes, all of that with that live stream link, is uploading all of meeting minutes from this year, agendas, that sort of thing that have gone on the current website, but came after they had basically finished. It's a very easy task, but it is an insanely tedious, slow process of either going into my computer's files and finding it or just re-downloading it from the existing website, uploading it, renaming it, tagging it, that sort of thing. Not a very difficult job. It's just a very slow, mind-numbing task. But I have gotten most of that done. I should have enough of it done this week that we're certainly more than compliant where we need to be. And as I wait till that meeting with the website developers to go over things, I'll continue chipping away at that to get more and more. Got 18 pages of meeting minutes on that website, which I presume goes back to 2011 or so. First year I started uploading documents to the website. I don't know that I'll go back 12 years and make those sorts of tweaks. They'll still be there, but the last couple of years to be as compliant and transparent as possible, I'm trying to get all of that fixed. So like I said, that's that on the website. I think if not sooner, we'll have it live by the first. Revolving loan fund. This delay at this point is on me as much as the board or attorney just not having time to pester about it. But I have been contacted now by at least 3 existing business owners, not just would-be entrepreneurs kicking the tires in the last few months. But I think it's critical that Jacob and I sit down to review the proposed program rules so we can present them to the board for final approval and program relaunch. All of our remaining borrowers are in good standing right now. We have more than $360,000 lend, and as I noted, we've got multiple community members looking to invest in the expansion of their businesses. So Jacob, I will be hounding you, and I'm in Rensselaer. I'm potentially in Rensselaer once a month for a meeting. I might shoot those dates to you, see if I can just catch you there as opposed to getting you over here and see if we can knock that out. But interest is picking back up. And finally, a couple of updates on housing projects, and I will be done. As of 2 weeks ago, when I checked in with them, Sullivan Development was on schedule to deliver the finished Willow Creek Villas apartment complex by mid-September. So I assume within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we'll start seeing a little bit about open houses, wait lists, all that sort of thing. But they were on target to be good to start opening it up by middle. The other housing project that we have been discussing over the last couple of years originally had been targeted for the county farm property. That was the one for which we tentatively secured $1 million ready funds. Had to pivot on the site location because of concerns that the Winamac Town Council had with the utility service on that property. And we have completed appraisals on our property and property that is within the Winamac utility service area and within the Winamac corporate limits already for a potential land swap. I'll be reaching out to the commissioners and the redevelopment commission, some of those details, and continue the conversation, see if we feel this is still a good fit for us at this time. But as the appraisals currently look, if we were to move forward with that, the county would end up garnering close to $200,000 in cash in addition to the land, just based on acreage and value based on current / highest and best use of the two. But that is something I will be reaching out to kind of pick the conversation back up with you. But we've got those. Any questions? No, thought you were.
The back. Wait, there I am. Okay. Are there payments that are supposed to be made by Sullivan?
It was set up as cash flow dependent. So once they open up, yes, then their amortization period will be.
Okay. What are those amounts? Do you recall?
Sorry, I don't offhand,
annual.
but I can. It's a monthly payment once they are cash.
Okay. So once they start, those payments start coming back into the county, right? Okay.
And I can pull the numbers if you like.
Yeah, that would be great. Just so we know that those payments are being
Yep.
made. I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Katie Gear.
Yes. Thank you.
So we're with Local Life Liberty National. We're here to propose a partnership. The coolest part is this does not cost anything. So we do know we've met with Teresa. And yes, for this one. So our biggest thing is that we're not trying to replace anything that you currently have rather than enhance your current benefits package. So one of the biggest things that Local Life does is that we actually come in, we partner with municipal groups. We have a plethora of county partnerships throughout the state. And we come in and we make sure that whenever your employees do leave the county for whatever reason or retire altogether, they get to take the coverage with them 100%. So the same premium they set it up with, they get to take it with them at the same premium. Nothing changes. We remain their agents for life. So we do life insurance. If you didn't get that in the name, Local Life, we're all going to die. If you didn't know, first of all. And then we do supplemental health coverage as well. So when we sit one-on-one with each employee, we just go through what their current coverage does look like, and then we fill in some gaps for them. Our premiums do run to be about 40% lower. We don't advertise, we don't have a fancy commercial or anything crazy like that. So we just want to make sure that this is a partnership that everybody can actually take advantage of, because in addition to life insurance, the supplemental coverage, life insurance is our bread and butter. So we have a policy that allows the employees to opt into getting it paid by age 65 when they're typically trying to retire, right? And they're on that fixed income. And then from there, we do have modified life coverage as well. So for those that are struggling to find coverage that they qualify for due to pre-existing conditions, we do have coverage like that they would be able to pick up no matter what. We do have other types of coverage. We really just cater it once we sit down with each employee one-on-one, what makes the most sense for them and their families. This coverage doesn't just get offered to the employee, it's coverage offered to the spouse and all the dependents as well. So it extends throughout the whole family. It's 100% affordable. This is also pre-tax for the employees as well. So they get to save some valuable tax dollars from what Sam was trying to do, right? Any chance we can. So now 100% of the county employees will actually receive 2 no-cost benefits. So whether or not they want to pick up any coverage through Local Life or not, they actually receive these 2 benefits that are sponsored. We let them know they're sponsored by the county just through the partnership. So one, they all receive a free $3,000 life insurance. Not a lot, but it's free. And then $3,000 if they have a spouse, $1,000 for each dependent, and then we do a discount card. So if you've ever heard of the RX card, it's the easiest way I can segue into explaining how ours works. Local Life is huge, so this connects them with thousands of providers within our network. So they'll be able to log into a website, plug in the zip code here, and then see who we do partner with in their neck of the woods. So they can get up to 10 to 85% off on vision coverage. It's not as expensive. So those vision needs, prescription drugs, chiropractic care, which is not typically part of major medical packages, which is nice, and hearing needs. So this stacks on top of their major medical coverage, because there's always something being left on the table that comes out of their pocket. So we're just trying to help lower those out-of-pocket costs. So, and this doesn't cost the county anything. We're here to be a blessing and not a burden. This isn't our first rodeo, so we love to actually coordinate this in a very efficient, effective way where we go to each department and schedule each department separately. We all know it. They all come in and start their day at different times and end their day at different times. So our schedule is filling up. We do have some availability. Either July 15th or after July, we can start on the first. So that's
Your office.
we are from the Indianapolis office. 2 hours to hang out with them. It's a good time. So I actually went to school with one of your very good passions, actually, Stephanie McGovern. So yeah. Oh, small world, right? So, but we do know that typically if this is something to move forward with, we just have a few signatures to grab from you guys today, and then we can get the ball rolling on figuring out the exact dates to each department.
Teresa, these services,
We have a company that's called a surety that comes in, and it's pretty much the same situation where they offer, sounds like pretty much the same as.
If, I apologize, catch you off guard, but we, know dealing, have a lot of different companies that puts a larger production. But, there've been discussions.
Really, Jenny and I, my payroll deputy, had talked about it, but we didn't talk real at length. But like I said, it's similar to what a surety offers, but I know before, years ago, we had AFLAC, but back in a long time.
We just offer it.
Tell you the truth, that was way before
For
my
your
time.
time.
I'm sorry.
Nope, fine. That is, have other questions? Definitely the agreement, not had a chance to look at the agreement. I think we look at the agreement, I think it'd be good for Jacob to take a, sure it's a standard type of agreement. I do find it unusual to offer multiple. My way.
See, that's the part I'm not sure of with the surety.
That's the biggest gap that we typically come in and bill. So most of the time counties have pre-existing coverage. So that is our primary focus being on life insurance. That's the number one thing. We always know that AFLAC is either already in place or there is another supplemental coverage company in place as well. So we come in, that's why we fill in the gaps there, just to make sure that they know what's made available to them, what they can take out the door. Oh.
Jenny,
And Jenny, yeah, Jenny's been with the office for about 7 years. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Would you like to schedule a meeting right now where we can actually come in and we can discuss the coverage in further depth? It typically takes about 20 minutes. It's nothing too intense.
why don't you have the document with you?
We do have
If you,
a visual guide here, and then we do have a document in which what we would just be getting signatures of would just be for a payroll deduction agreement.
why don't you give all the information to Teresa, and then please contact Teresa tomorrow to set up an appointment, okay?
I've got this one. I've got this one.
Yes, so that lists our breakdowns of each policy that we have. Now, our premiums are not listed as the premiums are based on age. So, yeah, but we can definitely talk about that.
I'll check into the other company and see if it's portable and check into that as well.
And then it's the best way to contact you by phone.
Yeah, phone is fine. Yeah.
Out tomorrow.
Thank you.
You.
Take it.
Hi.
On.
Okay. Sounds good.
We have a lot of Jen.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Mr. Moyer, next on our agenda.
I'm Joe Moyer. I live in Whittingham Township. Anyway, Don, you said a couple weeks ago, 13,000 acres that was under the
Permits were issued,
Carla.
correct. And then that was a few weeks ago, right? Since then, the fourth permit was issued. Since then, I was told by Carla the fourth permit was issued. And actually, the number, I apologize, Joe, was 15,058 acres. Yeah.
I could not find it. Video on the line, it's so blurry that I could not find the exact number here.
Gotcha.
Anyway, there's been various problems with the permitted areas. I think most of us know setbacks, payments. We have nothing for battery storage. Road damage has occurred, drainage setbacks. You remember Kerrville, Texas? A lot of that loss of life is because the setbacks were not followed along that river. We're not talking rivers out here, but we're talking drainage ditches and hypermeasurements with setbacks. There's 17,000 acres that has been leased. That has not been committed to. A lot of it is not even known to the county officials. But it comes off John's top and has the potential. I do not know what this latest bill Congress passed. I think we're still in the, we've got to find out stage. But 17,000 acres is a potential for a lot of issues. Some of which we've already seen because the president has been set to know the company to do what they want. Dust control was not done in the timely manner. It took some pressure a couple weeks before they got that in place. Why are we delaying on doing modifications to our plan and ordinances?
The APC, Joe, can at any time make recommendation UDO. They have it earlier after our attorney reviewed those, approved those ordinances. So the APC at any time go through the proper process, make recommendations. Thank you. Next, other business, we have claims and payroll number 12.
I reviewed the claims and payroll, and I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for the claims and payroll number 12. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. We were presented the minutes from June 16th, 2025, regular session.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second for the minutes from June 16th, 2025. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Request to pay billing for prosecutor. So you want to give us our background?
So, Tuley Gomer, actually Angel Hansen is the one that, requested the assistance. They're supposed to pay half of a bill with the sheriff's department, and they split it with them, and the bill is $10,200. So $5,100 is over and above their spending limit. So they are asking that if they can pay the $5,100.
Teresa, what is it for?
It's called Celebrite. It is, looks like it's upgrading some information, like, so the prosecutor's office and the sheriff's department both use this, service. It is, they're upgrading an online, portal so that they can look up maybe different types of criminals, make sure people are not criminals when they're stopping them or when they see their background when they're maybe with the prosecutor's office. So both departments use it. So they always split the amount of the service.
Okay, so this is an ongoing, they've had this for how long? Long time?
Long time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Could that just add it to the regular?
It could. It was just because it was over the spending.
Threshold.
Yeah, the spending threshold
Mhm.
they have.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to pay the billing for the prosecutor at 5,000.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Being none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
INPRS authorized agent.
What this is, it's INPRS, which is actually our perf, for our retirement for the folks that work for the county. And what it is Laura has always been the designated person to sign these forms. So they needed something, a signature from, mainly from you, Don, saying that they can transfer this so that I can sign this paperwork. Malady, anything.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Being none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Prosecutor's request to apply for grant.
So what this is a grant that they've asked for probably 20 years or more. This is the victim assistance grant. And since now we have the ordinance where they have to come and ask to do this, like I said, it's one that's been going on for years. It helps with the victims from crimes so that they can help them to get with necessary things that they need to do. So she's just asking that they can go ahead and apply for the normal grant that they do every year. And so this is her request for it.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to apply for the grant for the prosecutor's office victim.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second to approve the prosecutor's request to apply for grant for victim assistance. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Advanced time accrual.
So this is, because this is our new timekeeping system that we've started using a couple weeks ago, and in place of Right Stuff. So what this is we have to have permission to move people's PTO, comp time, and things like that from the old system to the so that we can continue to accrue it, use it as far as that goes. So we just need some signatures on this as well to move these accruals. Yes, yes.
That on it. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have that on. So go ahead.
I'll make a motion to advance.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second to approve commissioners approving the signing of the advanced time accrual form. Any discussion? Being none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Last item under approve and sign Medicare secondary payer.
So what this is we have some employees that have the health insurance as well as Medicare. And Medicare is actually second to pay when they have a claim. So this is something we have to do every year as an employer. We have to have this sent to Anthem, saying that Medicare will be second payer on any billing as.
I'll make a motion to approve the Medicare secondary payer form.
Second the motion?
We have a motion and a second to approve the Medicare secondary payer form. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Under conference request, we have the treasurer requesting to attend the state Fall Treasurers Conference, August 5th through 8th in Evansville, Indiana, and the assessor Holly, plus one other in her office to attend the annual A.I.C. conference, September 29th to October 1st in French.
I'll make a motion to approve treasurer going to the state treasurers conference, August 5th through the 8th in Elizabeth, Indiana, as well as Holly Vanderay and one other to the annual A.I.C. conference, September 29th to October 1st, Elizabeth, Indiana.
We're actually Evansville for the treasurer. I don't
Okay.
know where Elizabeth came from.
You got the new one.
And then French Lick for, sorry.
Right.
Just make.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the two conference requests for the treasurer and assessor. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Any items for discussion at this point?
I do have. First of all, I want to congratulate EMS. I just got the June report that was provided to us, and Natasha Daugherty shared that the department is almost fully staffed with the exception of one shift. All shifts on both sides of the county were fully staffed throughout the month of June. So this is a huge improvement over where we have been, and I congratulate you on your leadership and filling all these positions and for all the improvements that have been made. So thank you to that. Yeah, which is a great thing. I do want to revisit from discussion at our last meeting. I had mentioned or brought up an amount of $225,000 that was paid to Kevin Tankersley for work on economic development agreements, which included the drainage, the UDO, the road use, and decommissioning. Nathan, you said you would look into that. Can you give me an update on that?
Tankersley Law and Baker Tilly have both confirmed that they received payment directly from the developers on that, but I have not received any response from Barnes and Thornburg.
Okay.
The other two did confirm that they did receive payment in the amount they invoiced.
Okay. So were they willing to provide those invoices to us?
At this point, they have not done. I was expecting to hear from somebody in internal accounting at Baker Tilly, and I didn't. I can follow up on that.
Okay.
I do have email confirmation.
Right, if you would.
Sure.
And just for review, in a fall meeting, Kevin Tankersley commented, all providers had been paid, but we don't know from whom they were paid. The concern here should be a concern for all of us. If the county had already paid these providers out of another county fund, then we need to be able to account for where the $225,000 went that was paid by Mammoth Solar and Moss Creek Solar for the development and the implementation of these agreements. It should have gone into the county fund, a county fund, to reimburse the county for paying all of these expenses. Currently, the county has no documentation, no evidence of where the $225,000 actually went in full. If it did go somewhere, was it further dispersed from there? But we don't even know if the county paid these expenses already. And if they did, because I know there are invoices, then that $225,000 should have gone back into county general or into a county fund to reimburse the county. Does this make, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. And I feel like we cannot let this go unresearched. This is an accounting issue for the county. The agreement said the money would be paid to the county, and the money is not there. So we need to do that. I did call Barnes and Thornburg. I will be following up with them. They were requesting more information from me in regards to this. So they wanted emails sent, and they wanted a lot of description, which I will be doing. So I will follow through with Barnes and Thornburg. At this point, Don and Mike, you can, chime in or whatever, but I do believe that we need an audit conducted to track the invoices and payments that were made to all of these providers and to the county. So Teresa, I don't know, is this something that the State Board of Accounts can assist us with, or do we need to hire an outside?
So you were asking, when
Yeah.
is our next?
I have been contacted by the State Board of Accounts about a month ago or so, and they said within the next 6 months, they will be into audit. It could be next, in a month, it could be, because they had me give them information between now and October as to if I was going to be gone, like for conference or something like that. And, but I have not heard anything back from them as far as if they're coming really soon or anything.
Okay.
As far as that goes.
I personally, if we're talking, we're talking about an amount, an exorbitant amount of money, $225,000. I don't know why we would wait to find out where this money is or went. I think it's negligent on the part of the county for an amount of, for any amount. I don't care if it was $10, but an amount of this size, we don't wait for a state audit to find out where this amount of money went. So Jacob, help me out. What avenues does the county have at this time? And please don't tell me the providers were paid. It's a moot point because.
No, I think that's exactly what has to be investigated I don't disagree with what you're saying as far as it's one thing if the money was paid and it just wasn't done correctly, but the actual money came through and bills were paid the way they were supposed to. It's an entirely different thing if funds were used from a county account to pay providers for professional services, and that was never reimbursed the contractual amount. That's a breach of contract. That's an issue of public funds. So those are concerns. I guess part of the remedy, and it sounds like some of this has already started, would be if we can get written documentation from, I think we would need it from Baker Tilly, Barnes and Thornburg, and Mr. Tankersley's office, but also something from Mammoth showing what was sent, because to me, it sounds like if there was a fund that was used to pay for some of these things, it was not reimbursed because it sounds like no money came to the county. It sounds like it went to the providers directly. So to me, there needs to be an explanation of either A, money was moved when it shouldn't have been, and it wasn't approved by the commissioners, or it just wasn't paid. And if it wasn't paid, that's a breach of contract issue.
Correct.
I think Jenny has a point that having third-party verification would be ideal, but realistically, the auditor's office is the only entity that has the power to cut checks at the end of the day, correct?
That is correct.
And so we should be able at least start with an internal review from your office's files and the treasurer's office files on any money that would have come in or gone out to those three entities, right?
That's correct.
Because if you come up across record that the county paid Mr. Tankersley or Barnes and Thornburg or Baker Tilly for this, then, we're getting into deeper, darker places than just whether or not somebody was double paid, but the whole paper trail of why the county would have cut those checks in the first place if there was no. So I think that seems like the first place, then third party review to make sure this, but we should be able to get a start on answering that question just based on what the auditor's office should.
Yes, we should be able to.
But we should also have invoices, correct?
Yeah, I agree entirely.
And we should have invoices from Mammoth Solar for the amounts of money that they paid for these agreements as well. There has to be a paper trail.
No, I agree entirely. I think we probably shouldn't skip over that step. And
I agree. Okay.
So what time frame, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
So what time frame do I need to look at? Because, I can start looking at stuff too.
I would suggest that you look at, and I'm just going to say, go back to, I want to say 2022, January of 2022, but I'm going to back up and I'm going to say I would start looking in January of 2020. all payments made. I think we're safe to back up that far.
Because it sounds like to me that it has been confirmed through a review of minutes, unless there was an issue with the minutes, that there was no formal approval of those payments from a county fund, is what it appears to be to me anyways.
I think you're probably correct in that. Right. So again, it's very messy, and I think that it needs to be, we need some answers. If the county is entitled to this money, then the county should be collecting it, because they would be in breach of contract. So, okay, I appreciate that. I do have, and Tim, this is kind of for you. My mother was in the emergency room and in the hospital most of last week, and so I had complaints come in from residents, and I did not, they asked me to send them to you, and I have not done that, but I told them they're more than welcome to watch tonight. I don't want to let them down by not sharing their comments, so I will do it here, okay? So I do have a Michael Spiegla. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. A porta potty was placed directly in front of his home on 100 North. This would be in Central. And I'm not sure, maybe that's BP. Between 400 and 500 West. He went out and approached the people who were putting this right in front of his front door across the road. He confronted them persistently. He did have to get verbally forceful and said it was completely unnecessary for this to be right in front of his house when there was a mile of open field in front of his home, and it was placed right in front. And on these hot days, I think we can all understand that does nothing for your property to have a porta potty that was full right in front of the house. He also called later to report to me that he and his neighbor are noticing a lot of garbage and debris along the roadsides. I contacted him one more time today to make sure, to see if it had been cleaned up. He said the condition has not improved and that the road is now a washboard from the heavy traffic as well. He said, please notify the developers of this situation. So if you would do that. I also had a phone call a week ago, not quite a week ago, from Matt Klauser on 200 North between 6 and 700 West. He called to ask if the properties of two different landowners can be combined inside one fenced area. He stated that as he is surrounded on all sides of his property by the commercial solar project, his property is now useless as the hunting property for which he purchased it. While I encouraged him to attend tonight's meeting, he shared that he believes he would become too stressed to attend in person and that it would not be good for his health. He would like to know what actions he can take as a homeowner at this point. I promised to share his concern and would bring back any helpful responses given by commissioners or the county attorney. Is there anything Mr. Klauser can do for his property that is encased by commercial solar? He bought the property for hunting and he said at this point it's a useless property. What do I tell these people? Don, Mike, somebody give me some answers. I'm having hour-long conversations with residents.
I guess I don't really have a comment as to what you, as far as.
He's asking, what do I do? What alternatives do I have at this point?
No, I guess my question would be, is there an allegation that the solar around his property is in violation of something that, because otherwise that would be a private cause of action. That wouldn't be a county cause of action probably, because it's not county property. If it's private property, then he would have a remonstrance, something that he could do about it. I don't know if he's alleged, if there's a setback issue or if there's a trespass issue where they're not using an easement the way that they should be.
What is our setback easement?
Get a lawyer.
Do we have a setback easement? I mean, when these people call me, what do I tell them? They can build it right on the line?
One question I would have is part of the issue, if an easement's not being used the way that it's supposed to, or is this just blatant trespassing? That's one question that I would have.
But I have to know what the setback is to be able to tell. When they call me and they say, Are you going to help out, Tim? Can you answer this?
No, but I think I
Okay.
understand his concern. His concern is that the fence is limiting the amount of animals going onto
Absolutely.
his property that he's wanting to hunt. So I don't think it's a trespasses. I think it's, yeah, he bought this land because there was cornfields around it. And so he wanted to be able to have the animals come onto his land and hunt them. And with the solar company putting up a fence, it's limiting that animal traffic onto its property. So this would be no issue with the normal property owner putting up a fence. So just putting that sense out there. And I came up because I'm next.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate it. He anticipated that there would be a break in the fence between these two different landowners, and now the fence is continuous. And so he said, now I have if they don't run down the road to his house, he has no opportunity to hunt. So
Him or use of property.
I have no.
this is west of my place,
Okay.
between 6 and 7, no,
Between 6 and 7.
between 6 and 700 on the north side of the road, and he is the only property owner there. And he
Is he the
called.
one with the big berm?
Big what? No, he would be east of the berm. Yeah. He called about a month ago, and he called me again, and his concern was
Let's take a look.
that the fence is continuous. So if he wants to do something at this point, he has to privately sue. That's what you're saying, Mike? I mean, it's troubling to me that I need to give him some advice
I
of some
understand the
sort.
frustration. I'm trying to.
Okay.
There's a-
I think Tim could bring this up at their meeting. I'm assuming this is a mammoth project.
Mhm. It is.
There.
Yeah. And yeah, Tim, at this point, maybe as our compliance. As our compliance coordinator, I suppose, and as commissioners, we have a right, and this is no different than these gentlemen that were here at the beginning of the meeting, none of them want to see their property value destroyed. And we were able to find a compromise among those 4 or 5 individuals by talking it out. It worked. Everybody walked away happy. And I guess at this point, I'm looking for, where are the compromises with a project like this? Where does one property owner get everything they want and the other just has to take what's handed to them? So maybe in moving forward with these other projects, because I don't know that there's an answer for this gentleman at this point. It's probably, my suggestion to him was, put your place up for sale and walk away. And he said, I'm not going to get anything for my property. And I said, you could be very right. You may not get anything for your property. So that was all I could tell him. But if things like this, if you see these companies combining ground into one massive fence, I don't know that we should allow that. Maybe we should say, we've got to be some flow here for the people that are living here that, bought their properties for these purposes. And maybe that's for the building inspector to look at as well, to not approve adjoining these properties like this, because it's encasing people inside fences, and they didn't move to the country to be encased by fence. They moved for quality of life and or hobbies and all of that, and it's being taken from these people, and it is not right. It is absolutely not right. Everybody deserves a quality of life. So I will tell him we don't really have any answers, but it's disheartening. Another one, Josh Stamper is noting there's still many off-road solar vehicles without registration stickers. I know law enforcement's not here tonight, but are they enforcing this? Can they go onto these? It's not hard to find them. They're, these lay down yards, these off-road vehicles are all over the place. So are they checking them for their registrations? That's what I'm asking for. The developers, that we're still seeing off-road vehicles that do not have registrations. And we have extra law enforcement now that's being paid for to do that, and they don't all have them. So if you could ask law enforcement to look into that, I'd appreciate it. Okay. My only other, I do have one more. A couple months ago, I asked for an update on the number of Pulaski County residents who are working on the Mammoth Solar Project. Nathan, you agreed to get information for me, and I think, Tim, you provided information to Nathan that Nathan forwarded to me. Per the economic impact study, 25% of the employees were to come from Pulaski County. These projected numbers were provided by Mammoth 1 and 2 and Moss Creek Solar companies to Baker Tilly and Impact Data Source. The information provided in these reports were relied upon to support the argument for a tax abatement. As of May 30th, Mammoth Solar had hired a total of 360 employees, with 3.8% coming from Pulaski County. Supposed to be 25%. That calculates to 13 employees out of 360. 25% of 360 is 90. 90 people from Pulaski County should be employed by Mammoth Solar at this point. We were told that the construction phase would be the time of greatest employment. We know that when the solar projects are complete, this number is going to drastically drop down to 6 the first year, 12 the second year, possibly 18 the third. So if the numbers provided by Mammoth Solar and Moss Creek Solar, if the numbers provided by them to Baker Tilly and to Impact Data Source that were used to drive the tax abatements and the economic impact studies, then the information provided was false. The county is not reaping the benefits of the construction from Mammoth Solar. And that to me is concerning. And the reason I bring this up is, number one, there really is no data out there unless you seek it out for yourself. Nobody's going to tell you how many, because these projects are massive and you can't track it without knowing. So I've asked for the information. This information is good and it should be used moving forward when other developers come to Pulaski County and they use these inflated numbers to gain tax abatements from the county and to settle their economic development payments. Now, I have been told that that number should increase to about the number of employees that will be hired will be up around 1,000. 25% of 1,000, 250 employees. But if we're only at 3.8% during this part of the construction phase, and we've been doing this now since January, or 1st of February, then I have a real concern that the numbers provided for these projects are false. And it's concerning to me that the county has made agreements based on false information. So I want to share that because I know we're going to be going into other projects, and I think we need real numbers, not the numbers that developers are handing us and that we're using to create these agreements. Anybody have any different information?
I do know those numbers did not include any of their sub-consultants, so all the hauling that was done locally did not include. I don't have that number.
Well, I need that number. I had asked for the name and the address of these individuals. I'm not even comfortable with somebody just telling me it's 3.8%. I can pull a number out too. And so I want data. I want hard data. I want names. I want addresses. Terry? But this was not, we did not base these decisions and these tax abatements on if people want to work.
Well, people have been asking though where they can go to apply for a job, and we asked and they were said, we were told to tell the people we know if they want a job to go there and apply, and if they have the skills to do certain things.
Sure. I understand that. I understand that, but I'm looking at real numbers, Terry, and the real numbers are not there. If you can give me more accurate data in the future, and that data represents the truth for what they told us they were going to do, I'm great with that. I'm just here to say right now that we are way off base in Pulaski County for what these numbers should be.
That's true. That is true.
Okay.
Jenny,
Yep.
I do believe two things. That was your last comment. Last item.
Well, I was going to ask if you, in 3 weeks, you're ready for a moratorium to talk about it, or if you need more information.
I think with the, is it on, Nathan?
His mic needs turned on, Nathan. Oh, it's not coming through the mic.
Testing, 1, 2, testing. Green light. Testing, 1, 2. Okay. With the 25% and the 3.8%, subcontractors do figure into that. And I'm not arguing against the fact. I think that if they said that there was going to be 25%, and if that had an impact on the economic payment or the financial impact, then that should be looked at for the future. And I do believe, and it's not a defense, I do think it's awfully hard to estimate or come up with a number. And if you would have told me, and we weren't a part of this, 25% of workers from Pulaski County, I think would be awfully difficult with a population of 12,000 and quite a few people over the age of in the 60s plus. So I think that'd be a hard number. So I think that is something in the future that does definitely need to be looked at.
They're not Pulaski County residents. And that's where the money comes back to the county if you're a Pulaski County resident. And I know.
Through income tax, correct.
Correct. So and it was said, it was mentioned in that email, 96% of the employees are from Indiana. That does not help Pulaski County.
Nope.
That's Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of out-of-state individuals working for sure. Mm-hmm. So through Bechtel.
Right. So that will be about my last. I do want to say on the moratorium, we need to protect every homeowner here. And we have an obligation as commissioners to allow our Area Plan Commission the time to protect every resident of Pulaski County. It is not asking much of our county commissioners to say, we respect every individual from this county, and we want every individual to be protected to the greatest extent possible. And by not doing this moratorium, we are telling a great number of residents in Pulaski County that you don't matter. You don't matter. The only thing in this county that matters is a solar developer and a landowner who has their ground in. It is completely disrespectful to the majority of residents. And all we have to do as commissioners is say, we agree that the residents of Pulaski County, all of them, deserve limited protection, basic protection. And it is sad to me that as 3 commissioners sitting up here, that can't be done. And I want to know why. Why can't we as commissioners allow our Area Plan Commission time to protect everybody? Mike, why can't we? Why can't we protect every resident? I'm not asking for the sky, I'm asking for protection.
The APC has the ability to change the UDO and bring it to us, correct? And they've done that. The APC has the ability to advertise with the building inspector, to advertise and properly do a moratorium or a pause if they choose to do so.
And why can't we support them?
Then they would bring it to us and then we would consider it. They have that ability to do that. So This is a meeting, please. You have public comment. This is a meeting among commissioners for the public to observe. So they have that ability.
Why will you not support them in that, Don? Why will you not support them?
They have the ability to change the UDO at any time and bring it to us. They have that ability.
But today, the residents do not have protection. Today, they do not have protection. So you are telling the residents today, you're not valued. You're not valued today. Maybe when the ordinance is changed, we will value you. There's no reason not to support the APC on a moratorium. We are in the mess we are in right now because our ordinances are not, I think they are. The comments I'm hearing from many of you are, our ordinances are too vague. So why would we not afford the APC the time to strengthen the ordinances so there's no confusion and that the people of Pulaski County are all protected?
I provided you my answer.
It's not.
Okay, thank you.
That is not an answer.
Tim, yes, update, please.
Hi, Tim.
One thing I want to touch on real quick on that last item. Back in, towards the end of June, we sent over our scope of service to review the ordinance. We're still waiting to hear back from the commissioners how to move forward with that scope that we can then generate our fees off. The other item I want to touch on is,
Would you go over that again for us, please, Tim?
give me a moment. So this covered, here were the goals that we were trying to, we're trying to prioritize the health, safety, and welfare of the community, protect long-term land values, and develop interests, find the expectations and goals of county stakeholders, and make sure everything's clear, enforceable, and free from ambiguity and conflicting standards. We covered various tasks that we would be looking into, including meeting with certain county officials, meeting with those stakeholders, and then developing a list of final recommendations that we would then send to the attorney for his authorization. We had suggested meetings included. We also included some issues that we would prioritize, and then talked about certain limitations that we would have within our scope. That's so if you could review, again, that date that we sent that was June 23rd, and we can resend that.
If you would, that would be good for me. Like I say, last week was hospital week for me. So I need time to look that over. I appreciate it. No, that's okay. I apologize for not getting to it.
Next item is for the Mayapple project. So last week I received a call from them and doing some coordination with how they're going to be doing road inventory. They're going to use the Violetics software that the county has authorized highway department to move forward with. So this is going to allow future continuity between solar at the end of the solar project and what the county's expectations are, so that what we interpret as a 5 at the end of the project, we know is a 5, or whatever scale that may be. There is no interpretation difference. So that was a positive step that we were able to take on that project. For the Mammoth project, as the gentleman earlier stated, there are repairs needed. We acknowledge that. We are tracking those. I don't know if anyone noticed, but County Road 500 South had been closed 2 weeks prior due to a washout when they were doing some boring for their conduits. And then that's under engineering for a solution, not by us, but by the developer, which we would then confirm with Gary that's the proper solution. And then County Road 300 North is going to be starting repairs tomorrow with intermediate closures along that route. So plan to see those out there, and please modify your travel needs appropriately. Last week, there was a second emergency service meeting with the developer and services, covering various emergency items, how to handle certain situations. That was the second one. There will be more to come. And we did some coordination with residents on outstanding items. We will add those that you mentioned earlier to our law.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This time, we'll have a few minutes for public comment. We ask that you provide your name, residence, limit your comments to 2 minutes, and we ask that you speak once.
John Kramer, Winnemac. Mike, you sat right over in that chair right there and voted for the APC for a moratorium. And then you come to the next meeting and you voted against your own recommendation. No sense in that. We need to have these moratoriums. Why, Mike? Extol the graces of no moratoriums. What's that? Well, you know, of what? Pray tell. Progress. Wow. Anyway, if that's progress, all the graces of that, please. Anyway, we need the moratoriums because it would keep us from the problems that we're having. We can't have the horse before the cart. The whole thing of saying, well, let's just see what happens when we get there. It doesn't work. We're there. You got to have plans, contingency plans. You got to make plans. You got to figure out. Nobody can go through life with just la 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 la. You got to be able to have plans. Plan for whatever could happen, good or bad. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Good evening. My name is Margarita Bope. I'm a resident of Pulaski County. And a few things. Commissioner Jennifer Hannibal is talking about workers. I know that this is a union job and we own rentals. So I have people from other places that wanted to come here, but what they told me is this is a union job and the locals have firsthand. So they haven't been able to come because they are hiring locals. Now, one question is how many workers that are Pulaski County, how many men or women that are young and they want to work in solar? Do we know that? And I have a problem calling the solar companies. I think it's disrespectful to say that they are providing false information. I think we need to be respectful. Do we know that they're providing? How do we know that they are providing false information? If they say 25%, how do you even get the 25%? We don't know.
I did my math.
Well, let me just.
I asked for the names and I asked for the addresses over a month ago. Those should be provided to me. That is what we call data. And that is what we base decisions on, data.
I personally.
If the data is not here, then we cannot make informed decisions.
Do we know that there are workers that went and applied and they were told no? And maybe the union can provide that information. So I really have a problem just for all the county to say that and it would be the same if somebody's saying that any of you are providing false information in a meeting like that, I would have a problem with that.
Magali, we are basing huge decisions on information that is being provided to us by developers. This is big information that is going to impact the economy of Pulaski.
Well, I totally agree with next time. Then we need to see with our high schools how many we are going to have graduating in the next 2 years or in the next year for any other, in the future, and see how many of them we are going to want to come in and work. And then we can figure out if it's really up 25% or not, if it's even possible. That's my thing. I know one of my rentals is Pulaski County. One of my tenants and he's working in the solar and he's Pulaski County. My last point, because I don't want to take more than the time allowed. You guys are concerned about the 1%. What about the 1%? The 1% for the income tax? Is it 1% for Pulaski County that?
I'm not sure.
Is it 1%? Is whatever the income tax that is paid, right? So what about the landowners that have to pay an income tax for the money that they are getting for the contracts? That has to be important. Has anybody checked how much money would come to the county, or how much money is gonna come to the county right now, or how much money would come to the county in the future. And I do have a problem, Commissioner Cannibal. Like you, I feel, this is my personal opinion, that you point fingers to to other commissioners. So, but what about me as a landowner? What about feeling that you are totally on, you say that it has to be equal, but my personal opinion is that you are totally in favor of the people that supposedly is many people against solars. So I just don't feel represented.
And that's okay. I'm not against people. I am fighting for property rights for everyone. That is it.
It
Thank
just
you.
Property
doesn't
rights.
seem, it just doesn't
Thank you,
seem
I'm
like.
sorry.
Thank you, Mrs.
Sorry, it doesn't
Gold.
seem
Thank
that way.
you. Mr. Good
Try
evening.
to be very brief. Just to reiterate, because I mentioned it, is the landowners should be considered part of that 3.8% because we are receiving money. We are paying county tax. And so we are part of that. We're receiving money from a company that said they'd pay us. So, and also my son works for the solars. And my son works for the solars. And right now he's not, he's working for another company, but he's worked for 4 different solars and they all go through the union. And for these all these projects are union projects. So people have to sign up through the union to get the jobs. So Mammoth and the other companies, you know, the union is the middleman. So the middleman has to appropriate the numbers for Mammoth. Okay, and I would just like the answer for one question, and that is, and I'll try to be brief, but to set it up is a railroad went through about 100 years ago and they condemned the land and didn't condemn it, but eminent domain. They took the land for solar. It's right on the edge of my house, and that railroad's no longer there. And then years later, the electric lines came through and they were allowed to put lines in there in the farm. So my question is, to set this up is, does a landowner truly have the right to do with his land what he wishes? And I understand we need to follow the law and we need to follow guidelines. But if there was an answer to that question is, yes, if a landowner pays his taxes, if he does something for the public good, does the landowner have the right to do what he wishes?
Thank you.
Gail Lambert, Rich Grove Township. One thing I'd like to say, and I should have said this quite some time ago. I campaigned last year for a position. I visited over 100 households in my township of people that I could catch on. I maybe talked to 3 people who were in favor of solar. The rest of them thought it was an abomination. So when I speak, I'm speaking for people in my township. Also, I'm very familiar with Matt Hauser's property. He's a mile from me. I am familiar with the 2 farms that are connected. And of interest, the setbacks that there were about 150 feet back until last week. Mammoth ripped the sill fencing out. New fencing has gone in, not fencing that stays. New setback for the new sill is going to, fence is going to be put. Guess what? It's not 150 feet. It's much closer to the road. And it's right across the road from that plaza. So I can see, Jenny, where you maybe got a call last week because he said watching that 150-foot setback being pulled, and watching the stakes go up for a decrease. Our ordinance says in chapter 7, no qualifications, 150 feet, 7 75 feet. Chapter 7 and 8 of the ordinance are the two chapters that deal with rules and regulations for solar. Chapter 8 is the definitions. And in the definitions of CSES, one of the things mentioned are ancillary improvements. What are ancillary improvements? If you look at any law dictionary, pursue that. One of the things mentioned is fencing. Fencing is an ancillary improvement. It is mentioned in Chapter 8 of the definition of solar field. We have it clearly stated in our ordinance. It needs to be followed. We need to have setbacks of 150 feet and 75 feet. And if last week, Mammoth could decide to rip out silk fencing to put in new, then by golly, they can go to all the property that does not meet the terms of the ordinance and put in, tear that out and put in the new. And I ask that you commissioners revisit the ordinance, read Chapter 7, Chapter 8, and decide to please enforce what is there, our setbacks. Thank you.
I do have a concern, where we get, outline rock and stuff, in particular, 700 west, 200 north, just north of 200 comes the ditch. From top of bank to where the silk fence is on First Street. It's gonna be a problem, when we go in and clean that, because obviously, we're gonna be doing a code capacity pipe. That ditch requires a long ditch. So we're talking 50 feet, because by the time the long reach spin around, they're gonna be taking out that fence to that split. I'm sure there's other areas like that.
Mhm.
There is, there's some areas that they do have some impact. I don't know why the difference, why some do, some don't, but in that particular case, that's just not gonna work. So I don't know how you would go about that and changing that. To make sure that it's done.
We need to require, Jenny, that the ditch setbacks are 75 feet, like our ordinance states, and we need to require that the setbacks are 150 feet, like our ordinance clearly states.
Jenny, as the county surveyor, first step, I believe, is you need to talk to VS Tim in the back and have him start that conversation if that fence is going to be an issue. But start with Tim to start with as the county surveyor.
Mhm.
VS will communicate with Bechtel and Durrell.
Jenny, and Don, I have a concern here. I don't think as a building inspector and as the superintendent of drainage and the superintendent of roads, that we can give our authority away, that they can just give their authority away to a compliance company. The ultimate responsibility lies on Jenny Keller as the superintendent of drainage. And Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong. Can we just as a county forego our responsibility and give it to a compliance company? That to me sounds very wrong.
No, you have to. You can't delegate power.
Thank you.
to Other.
That is exactly the point I'm trying to make. So every time we say, talk to VS, we are giving away our delegative authority. And I don't think, right, number one, I don't think we have time to do that because these projects are going in very, very quickly. So I don't think this is for VS to be doing. I think we as commissioners need to give Jenny Keller the authority as our drainage superintendent to go out and say, this is unacceptable. You must move it. That is her authority. Yes. It is your authority to do that. I don't understand how we give our authority away. I ran for commissioner to help make decisions, not to throw my authority away. And I think you're in the same place, Jenny.
My point, Jenny, was we've hired VS to help us with the mediation with this. So you could talk to VS, you could go with VS to do that, or you could work with them directly. But we've worked with VS to help be the liaison in helping us get things done the way we need to. So I'm not taking any authority away from you. My comment is not. We've just asked VS to try to be a mediation for that. So if you believe it's a problem, you do what you think is best, okay?
I definitely think, I mean, that is particular, I think so. And that's for their numbers, we got the other meeting as well. And the ditches that are.
So my recommendation to you, Jenny, would be you go to VS and you let VS know what our ordinance states. And VS, it is your responsibility to communicate that to the developers. I mean, Jacob, help me out. Isn't that how this works? Isn't that how this should work?
Well, VS is used to communicate, make recommendations, and act as a liaison, but there are certain actions require, which is, is why I know, for example, crafting issues. Tim generally comes for the commissioners and says, hey, contract issue. Oh, he doesn't get to, on his own, just go off and start executing contracts. He has to approval for those sorts.
Right. So if Jenny said to them, I don't know if you can issue a stop work order on that. That's Jenny's decision to do that, correct? The commissioners have no authority to issue a stop work order or pull a stop work order, correct?
And well, and I think, are you referring to the one with?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that, in fact, if I remember correctly, and generally speaking, as the building commissioner, now she works at the pleasure of the commissioners, but is an independent office that issues those and removes them.
So it would not have been for the commissioners to vote on to remove that.
You can
stop
vote,
work
but what
order.
I'm saying is it's at her, it's at the discretion of that office.
Okay. So even if we voted, she would still have the discretion to say,
Yeah, I don't think you can force her to do that.
okay, thank you.
I realize she works at your pleasure, but I mean, that's a duty of that office.
Exactly. I appreciate you clearing that up. So did that help, Jenny?
It sounds like, well, probably what I, just because this is the way I am, I will talk to VS, I will talk to developers, and I mean, I'll speak to Paula and see, I'm sure there's going to get to be done, and I don't know how.
Have you talked to the drainage board attorney?
I have not yet, but I mean, we briefly discussed this last month in our drainage board meeting, so.
And what did he say during that meeting?
To go back and review the order of the drainage agreement, which was written up by two attorneys. So, they're again very vague. One person can take one way, another person can take it.
You're talking about the contract itself, or are you talking about the ordinances? Pardon me? The drainage agreement.
You could also talk to the drainage board attorney as well.
Right, and like I said, I just have not done that yet. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny.
It's very, yes. The point of driving late is if you go back and have to dig something around, or they violated the easement that you're talking about. So you have to look into that. So that's it.
Anyone else?
Isaiah Tidwell from Winnemac. A lot of my points already got hit on tonight, but I just kind of wanted to bring up the Global Life Workforce Advantage, I think it was called. Did kind of very surface level digging while they were talking about it. Sounded like a too good to be true kind of thing. I just wanted you guys to know they're in a lot of investigations right now. SEC, DOJ with illegal business practices, aggressive business practices, things like that. I think we kind of saw that a little bit tonight with the, hey, here we are, can I get a signature? Or, hey, you're going to hear from me tomorrow, can we have a meeting next week? So I just figured it'd be good information for you guys. Thank you.
Bob Berger. Main thing, as far as the union, I've been worked union my whole life. It's not hard to get a union. You can go in and get a card and go to work anywhere. I mean, I don't know why everybody's acting like it's hard to be part of a union. That's all you do is pay your dues. You're gone. But I was wanting to know, we have ordinance where we've got things, I mean, our town is starting to really look sloppy. Go into town there across from, I mean, that little old gas station there, I mean, that really looks raggedy coming into town. Doesn't anybody see that? And there's a camper behind it. Somebody looks like they're living in it. I mean, I don't know if they are for sure, but there's a truck that comes back and forth, lights on there. I mean, come on, doesn't nobody see this? I mean, don't we have ordinance for that?
That would fall under the town of Winnemac. Town council.
Well, evidently they don't know either, because I figured I'd come to the main people that I talk to, tell me something. I evidently didn't. Like, there where Tippy's is at. The cars are parking halfway on the sidewalk. Want the sidewalk to move back, why don't they move the sidewalk back then? Why are they parking on the sidewalk? I mean, it's a common thing. But I mean, I just think that we should clean our town up. People come in, that's the first thing they see. That's terrible. I mean, surely you got to agree with it. It doesn't look good. And I mean, I just found, I asked people, it's not my job, not my job. Whose job is it? Tell me whose job it is.
Have you gone to the town council?
Nope. Council, but I will.
Okay, thank you.
You know where my office is on 14? You know where my office is there on 14? Where the electric department is? Where the electric department is? Town council meet there away from that. Where the water pump is. Where Kramer shows up and pretends to vote.
Others?
I make a motion.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second for adjournment. Those in favor? Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed?